monthly meeting, the February meeting of Community Board 5. Thanks for attending. We'd like to ask you to stand up. We're going to do a salute to the flag and a pledge. Where's the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. You see, we kind of split up the tables tonight at the request of a number of board members, just, COVID protocol thing. My name is Walter Sanchez. I live in Maspeth. I'll be running the meeting tonight for Vincent Arcuri, who's under the weather. And what we're going to do first is we're going to have a public hearing regarding the 2024 preliminary budget of the city of New York. And I just wanted to remind you, we're going to call up a speaker or two. Gary's going to speak as well, as what we did last year, this community board did. And what happens is we have a number of items that we ask for capital projects to the borough president and to our elected officials. And what we decided last year, we really are still very interested in the flooding problems that are here. The board got together, the executive committee got together first, talked about these issues, and really felt it was really important to our community. Flooding, more than anything, could be taken care of pretty quickly. So the first two items that we had: redesign and reconstruct sewer systems in portions of Community Board 5 area having worst flooding problems. That was number one. Number two was provide stormwater runoff mitigation. So those two things we wanted to keep up front. We really wanted to let the legislators know this is the most important thing to us. Two flooding things. Now, 10 years ago, we put flooding up there, first 1, 2, and 3, and we were able to get a nice sewer project out of it, a couple of sewer projects out of it. It's happening in Middle Village and Glendale and parts of Maspeth. So we think it's that important. Number 3 was reconstruct Wyckoff Avenue from Flushing to Cooper Avenue. Number 4, replace existing bridge on Grand Avenue over Newtown Creek in Maspeth. Number 5, reconstruct sidewalks, curbs, and pedestrian ramps along Myrtle Avenue from Fresh Pond to Wyckoff. Number 6 was reconstruct deteriorated catch basins and provide new catch basins in our area. We really felt that catch basins are, quite important to clean them out and build new ones. Rehabilitate Ridgewood Reservoir was number 7. Number 8, reconstruct Benninger Playground in Ridgewood. Number 9, reconstruct Methera Park, especially the turf field. 10 was provide replacement of the synthetic turf and running track at the west end of Juniper Valley Park. So I'm just going to talk about the first 10 for now. What will happen is we're going to hear from the public who want to hear from you, even for the next few months, because we're, building this. Gary, when are we doing this? When is the board going to vote on this? Same time as always?
No, what I have to do, a vote isn't necessary. We already made our budget priorities.
Right.
I have to put together responses with regard to.
So we have to put together responses regarding the mayor's budget. So what typically happens is in September, the executive committee comes out with its recommendation, then the board votes. However the board votes, that's how we go 1 to 35. And everything from softball field at Rosemary Playground to reconstruct Fresh Pond Road from Myrtle Avenue to Elliott Avenue, which is number 21. So with that, I'm going to introduce, I guess our first speaker would be Ted. He's our only registered speaker, and then Gary's going to go over a couple of things with us. So, Ted.
Where do I go? Right there. Right there. If you want, you might go right there. Fine. Don't even get up.
Hello. Greetings. So, this is a testimony in support of a new capital improvement project for Myrtle Avenue between Wyckoff and Fresh Pond Road and adjacent side streets. Dear members of the Mayor's Office, City Council, Queensborough President, and Community Board 5, on behalf of the Myrtle Avenue Business Improvement District, we thank you for your support for our new capital project as a number 5 priority in FY23. The last time a project was done on Myrtle Avenue was in 1983-84. Typically, a capital project lasts 20 years. This has gone far beyond that. And we have major issues. At that time, there were new concrete sidewalks. We closed 2 streets and made pedestrian plazas, and it was I believe it was a $1.8 million to $1.2 million project back in 1983. Over the years, many other improvements have been added. Historic end poles, more benches on curbside locations. We created the 71st Avenue Plaza, and we put a planter in at the Catalpa Avenue Myrtle intersection. But over the years, many of these improvements, particularly the brick pavers on the sidewalk, embedded in the sidewalk, and the Belgian blocks in the tree pits have become serious tripping issues and has resulted in lawsuits to many property owners. And the bid itself has been brought into many of these lawsuits, which raises our budget to allocate towards increased liability insurance. Myrtle Avenue is a major comparison shopping district serving the Ridgewood area, Glendale, Ridgewood, Middle Village, Maspeth, Bushwick. There are over 345 service and retail establishments in that boundary that I talked about earlier. The new improvements may include, but not limited to, new sidewalks without brick pavers. You can do decorative concrete now and make it look like a brick paver. New curbs where necessary. New end poles on the side streets. Removal of all the Belgian blocks from the over 300 tree pits. Additional benches and other amenities. Since this project only included, the original project in '83, only included a new street bed, you might look at the feasibility of new sewers or water lines where necessary, because they've been there since the turn of the century. We also want to thank the New York City Department of Transportation for making improvements over the past 2 years by installing new handicap access ramps on numerous intersections, and we hope they will continue that and finish that job. We also want to thank former Assemblywoman Catherine Nolan for allocating $450,000 in the state multimodal funding to add additional historic end poles. And we're seeking other funds to increase. And because if you go down Myrtle Avenue itself has the decorative end poles, but the side streets still have those old Cobra heads. So that's it. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Gary?
So by, I think, the 17th of December, I'm supposed to send in responses to the preliminary budget. So the city's budget is a whopping $102 billion, which includes funding from the state and the federal government. Walter named some of our main budget priorities for the capital budget, but we also need to be very concerned, or at least as concerned, about the expense budget, because those are the items that affect day-to-day life in New York City. How many police officers are assigned to the precinct? Whether there are enough people who are working in the Department of Environmental Protection maintenance yard to do the repairs that are necessary when you see those holes next to the catch basin or next to the sewer manhole or sinking conditions in the middle of the street. Whether there are enough buildings department inspectors to crack down on illegal apartments, or people who are doing construction without a permit, or people who are doing construction that is not in accord with proper zoning. We have always prioritized senior citizen services, and I see some cuts planned for the Department for the Aging. We always made youth services a top priority for our expense budget items, and I'm a believer that, crime in New York City in the last year or two has gone up significantly. But it's still probably 1/5 of what it was back in 1990, let's say. And a lot of that is due to the efforts of the police department, but I'm a believer that a lot of that is also due to the fact that a lot more money, and good money, was put into programs run by Maspeth Town Hall and Greater Ridgewood Youth Council and other youth service organizations. And I think that really helped deter crime as well. As you know, we're always asking for traffic safety studies, so having a sufficient number of traffic engineers to study intersections and make decisions on, where signals and all-way stops should go, as well as speed bumps, is real important. A lot of us drive cars, so our roadways are important. We need to get those roadways resurfaced, and we need to get those potholes filled. So those are a lot of our top budget priorities. And sanitation, especially. We've got ongoing problems with illegal dumping. By our office, for instance, we have a lot of freight rail line. And there are not a set of eyes usually looking out a window to see somebody dumping along the freight rail. So a lot of dumping in isolated areas, and we need to have that cleaned up. We need our litter baskets collected so that the streets, the commercial strips, do not look slummish, for lack of a better term, when they're filthy. So most weeks, I think we're getting litter basket collection 7 days a week, which is probably what we need, as long as people are going to throw their household trash in a litter basket, and there's no room for the litter. But Walter's right. We have prioritized doing something about the flooding that has plagued our and other neighborhoods over the years. And it doesn't happen often, but when it happens, it can really be catastrophic for a lot of people, especially if you are in the low-lying area. So we pushed successfully for a big sewer project in the Penelope Avenue, 74th Street area in Middle Village. That was a $20 million plus project. We pushed successfully for a big sewer project along Calamus Avenue and 69th Street in Maspeth. So the one we're really looking for now is to solve the flooding problems in Glendale. So the rainstorm of September 1st, 2021, where it rained a significant amount in a short period of time, people on 77th Avenue in Glendale had 2 feet of water in their basement, some people worse, because that's the lowest point. So I know the city is looking at the feasibility of putting a much larger sewer line in 77th Avenue from like 76th Street to the Woodhaven Boulevard Service Road. I don't know the details yet. It's in like preliminary study stages, but that's the big flooding problem that we need to solve, in my opinion, at this point. Ridgewood is high ground and hasn't had the flooding that the other neighborhoods have experienced. But of course, if it rains 4 inches in 45 minutes, like it has from time to time, and the Cooper Avenue underpass has 12 feet of water in it, almost everybody's going to get flooded. So I have to put these replies to the mayor's preliminary budget together every year on behalf of the board, and they're due mid-February. Questions? All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Gary. And as community board members, you represent your neighborhood. Don't be afraid to come up and talk about a project. Something's wrong, fences at a park, there's a problem with that. Bring it here. We can't catch everything. Staff is pretty good, but we can't catch everything. So don't be afraid to sign up to speak at one of the public forums, or bring it to Gary and say, we really need this done. This park hasn't been done in 20 years. We might have missed it. So we're going to go right into the public forum right now, and the first one to speak is Janina Skodezinski, from Myrtle Avenue in Ridgewood. You here? Hey. 3 minutes, please.
Okay, now I'm just going to make it quick. Hello, welcome. Thank you for having me here. My name is Janina Skodezinski, and I'm actually here to doing a project starting as of next month to help veterans with my hypnotherapy that I do. So I'm looking to do a free Zooms, and I just need guidance. If anyone knows any ideas on how I can really put this where I can help these veterans with just very very simple, imagery, imagery mastery, and I could help them with any kind of these, like, stress. So I'm just looking for ideas while I'm here. Thank you.
Thanks, Janine. Thank you. We have a number of veterans sitting here, right, Michael? Right, Michael? So we have a couple of veterans here. Maybe they'll talk to you afterwards. Dawn Scala about freight rail. Dawn.
Hi, I'm Dawn Scala. I'm a resident of Glendale. I'm here tonight with some letters. I put some on some of the tables, but I have more where I'm sitting, if you'd like one. I'm hoping you'll take the time tonight and mail or email these letters to ask the Department of Justice to give our communities 95 to 99% less pollution and 75 to 85% less noise from some of the old locomotives that operate in our neighborhoods on that freight line. These locomotives that I'm talking about are the red-orange locomotives with the P and W painted on the sides that smoke terribly. They are Providence and Worcester's railroad locomotives, and they belong to Genesee and Wyoming Rail Services Incorporated. So why are we sending these letters? The Department of Justice recently prosecuted Genesee and Wyoming for their cheating on locomotive air pollution, and there is a public comment period on the consent decree that's open right now. This means that we have the opportunity to ask the Department of Justice for less pollution and noise from these locomotives. Please take one of these letters, either fill it out and mail it, or send an email, save a stamp, and all the information you need is on these letters. I also hope that the elected officials and their staff members who are here tonight will also send their own letters too. The electeds received information about this in writing and in phone calls from Civics United for Railroad Environmental Solutions. So I hope you will ask the Department of Justice for what your constituents need. Our families deserve less noise and cleaner air to breathe, but we all need to make our voices heard. All the public comments are due and must be in by February 22nd, so time is of the essence, so please don't wait to send yours in. I just want to also note that if you send an email, at the top of these letters that I have on the tables is what you should put in the subject line so that it gets routed properly to the Department of Justice for this consent decree. And I'll be here if you have any questions, or if you need more letters, I have some on the side here. Thank you.
Thank you. And just so you know, number 18, Dawn, on our capital budget priority is replace or repower polluting stage 0 freight engines hauling New York City municipal waste through District 5, Queens. So we do recognize it. 18 might be a little low. Talk to the community board members and push for it. Thank you. We have Louis Ross with about freight rail noise in the middle of the night. Louis?
Hello, I'm Louis Ross. I've been in the neighborhood about 30 years, served the neighborhood with MTA. What's happening here is a disaster. It's a crime. Atlantic Railway has a driver that he'll pull up right in front of the crossway, and he'll blast the horn full throttle for 18 times longer than he usually does. He does it to intimidate, terrorize the neighborhood. He does it, I don't know why, because complaints been coming out of there about the crashing of trains 3, 4, 5 in the morning. It's against the law. They're not supposed to, this is residential over here. You're not supposed to, this is not a rail yard. So they can't do that anymore. So this guy comes, uniform from Atlantic Railway, trained from Atlantic Railway, commits a crime with the train that he's using to work, and on time. He's on time. He's getting paid, company time. He rips it and just blasts the whole, holds on to it. Everybody hears it. I'm not the only one. Both sides, they hear it. It's against the law. I have a neighbor I take to the hospital once in a while, to the doctors for her heart. I can't imagine when she goes to 3 in the morning, or 2 in the morning, when that is blasting. And he holds it just like, the hell with Glendale, the hell with, he just constantly, last night, one day, What is happening? We've called them many times, they never call back. The only one, Adabo, he's been there, and we've spoken to him. Robert Holden, Grace Meng, reached out to Grace Meng, she's not from around here, but she called him up and did something. But meanwhile, Glendale residents, I've been here 7 times in the meeting, and no one here has called me, have been to the neighborhood to find out what's going on. And that is pretty sad, because we're supposed to take care of our neighbors. The lady upstairs has a child. She jumps out of bed, pees on the bed, runs to the mother's house. Why is this continually happening? This is a crime. When you do it on purpose, it's a crime. That guy should be lucky he has a job. He's doing it with equipment from the railway. And then he leaves in the getaway car with the same train he came to commit the crime in. It's a crime when you do it on purpose. You blast it. It's unnecessary. My neighbors have left. Other than that, no one has come. Just Adabo showed up, but no one from here has reached out to us over there at all. I'm done with Glendale. It's been nice, but I'm not going to tolerate that. This is not a way to live. The quality of life has down all the way. And who's on first, who's on second? No one. Good luck with this. It's a crime. If that company, they're privileged to be working in Glendale. They're privileged. And if they're not happy, they come to make noise and terrorize the neighborhood, well, they should find someplace else to go. I hope my tax dollars don't go to them. You know? There was a man that said one time, God, why is things so bad? Why are things so angry? Why, God, why don't you do something? God, why people are dying? Why you let this happen, God? God told him, that's why I created you, so you could do something. I hope when the horn blasts and that lady, that's elderly abuse, when that lady is holding onto her head and she's running back and forth, one day when we meet God, he can either tell us, well done, good, faithful servant, or he can look us in our face and say, why didn't you do something?
Louis, does it happen at the same time every night?
Oh, this guy is so comfortable. 7:30, 11, 2 o'clock, even in the middle of the day. He came one time in the middle of the day and he blasted the neighborhood. In the middle of the day, and one of the neighbors said, what are you doing? Because he works for the train too. Yeah. And that guy jumped off the train and went into his chest, and they almost went at it. So this guy's not there. I don't know why he's still working for this company in that state of mind. He could lose his job. I hope he doesn't lose his job, but he better, come on, is it worth
Did you say the coupling stopped when the banging of the trains? Did that stop? Is that what you said? And now he's doing the horn.
Oh, yeah, that's retaliation.
They stopped the coupling?
No, he jumped off the train to confront the neighbor.
No, I'm asking the coupling, that loud noise in the middle of the night.
Yes, because I used to tell them it's against the law what you're doing. It's 2, 3 in the morning. Well, why are you? And they would go away quietly because they know they're wrong.
But that stopped. What I'm saying is that stopped?
Yes.
Okay.
Once in a while I get a little bit, but then he gives it to you with the horn.
I get it.
It's against the law. But I'm done. Right. I'm out of Glendale. Nobody comes down to talk to us.
Well, we helped stop the banging, by the way.
Abandoned in Glendale.
Chris Franke.
Walter.
Can't do it.
I just want to give the email to send it to.
Go ahead, talk to him. Chris Franke, parking in Ridgewood, Glendale. Chris? Chris? No, Chris? Kevin Corbett, Glendale business owner. Three minutes, please.
Excuse me?
3 minutes, please.
Oh, okay. Good evening. Queensborough President Donovan Richards recently removed Mr. Richard Huber from Community Board 5 for using the term woo-flu. Mr. Huber and I have run a business in Glendale for over 35 years. We have in our employ and have worked with people in all races, ethnicities, and religious denominations. When Mr. Huber told me he was removed from the community board, I asked him, was there some sort of physical altercation? Disruption of a meeting? Did you curse at someone? He said, no, none of the above. I used the term Wu flu while making remarks about the ongoing nursing shortage. Unaware of any of this, I discreetly asked a friend of mine who happens to be a Taiwanese immigrant if he felt the term Wu flu was, as Jessica Meditz proclaims in the Glendale Ledger, a known racial slur against Chinese people and Asians as a whole. His response, whoever made such an assumption, is ignorant and shouldn't speak for the entire Asian community. A number of media outlets, including the Hong Kong Free Press, have used the term Wu flu, Wuhan pneumonia, and Wuhan flu. Mr. Huber's comments were in response to recent news regarding staffing shortages of healthcare workers in local hospitals. Some of these staffing shortages were the direct result of policies strong-arming healthcare professionals, cops, firemen, and EMT workers in taking a vaccine that still lacked complete data on its long-term effectiveness and long-term effects. Many of these workers declined the vaccine and were forced out, resulting in much of this staffing uncertainty. All this while an unvaccinated Kyrie Irving was given special dispensation from our mayor to continue dribbling his basketball. Unlike with other medicines or vaccines, there was scant information forthcoming other than safe and effective to afford the public a complete picture for informed consent. Last evening, Sarah Huckabee Sanders reminded us in a response to the President's State of the Union address that we have a choice between common sense and crazy. And removing someone from the community board with decades of meaningful service for using the colloquialism Wu flu falls squarely in the column of crazy and crushes the American ideal of honest discourse in the public forum. We will not forget the policies which cost the lives of tens of thousands of elderly New Yorkers, locked our children out of schools, worshipers out of houses of worship, destroyed businesses and lives, all implemented by politicians who assured us they were following the science. The same science which told us taking the vaccine would prevent contracting and spreading the disease, but quickly morphed into simply preventing severe disease. This Wu flu has changed all of our lives, and we will not forget how woke politicians exacerbated this health tragedy with their inept policies.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thomas Toscano, CEO, Mr. T. Carding Corp. Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. It's my first community board meeting. Thanks. I'm going to keep this short, as I promised. If I have time, I want to mention something on the rail, so I'll ask you before I get to that. But my family's been in this area in Glendale here for over 50 years now. We own the main piece of property on Edsel Avenue between 73rd Place and 73rd Street, and we bought numerous other properties on both sides of the track, tracks right around there on the Middle Village side and on the Glendale side. You talked before, I believe it was, I'm sorry, that gentleman's name, Gary, is that your name? Yes. Yeah, you mentioned before the crime in the 90s and before. And one thing we learned is that quality of life crimes tend to lead to bigger crimes. And what I'm seeing happening in that area over there is a bit disconcerting. There's a lot of commercial parking along the tracks. There's a lot of various different types of ambulettes and other things parking along the tracks. They're dumping stuff along the tracks there. Last Earth Day, my company went and we cleaned up the whole area all along that track there, made it look nice. We take a lot of pride in this neighborhood. And within a month, it was all back again. I've called the police, actually 311, and reported the commercial vehicles. I spend 20 minutes on the phone giving plates, truck descriptions. I get an email, then I get another email 3 hours later saying no police intervention was necessary. I've reported it to Bob Holden's office, and I continue to make complaints online to no avail. If there's anything I can do, I see crimes there. I see people doing drugs along the tracks. The police have come to me numerous times to ask for my video footage because there's been a crime committed with a vehicle that's left there and they want to see who left the vehicle. it's sort of becoming no man's land, and I don't want to see the neighborhood get any worse. And starting with ticketing the commercial vehicles not only will help that in getting, in clearing out the street a bit and stopping the small crimes that could lead to the bigger ones, but it also will help with revenue. I mean, we're talking about projects here that we need done, and I don't understand. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the police, and I know, especially with the recent news, they go through a lot, but how hard is it to put a parking ticket on a vehicle? I mean, this is one of the least risky things they do, and it just seems like they don't want to do it. The moving companies are particularly bad over there. If I have any more time, I'll get into the railroad. That wasn't my primary Sure. I heard Mr. Ross, he's actually a tenant he's in one of the properties, and my office overlooks the Glendale crossing there. And I've spoken with the railroad numerous times. The biggest issue is you can't move next to the train tracks and then complain about the train going by. We all understand that. But they're using the area to change cars. It's still going on. Apparently they have not enough space in the yard up by Otto Road, so they leave a lot of empty cars along there, and then they use the area in the Glendale crossing to couple and uncouple cars. And sometimes they block that crossing for 25, 30 minutes. I actually put a security camera off my building onto the track, and I've been pulling the footage off, and I have a pretty nice collection. So, if I have somebody that, can do something with it, I'd be happy to share it. I did put one video up on Facebook recently with the Cures group, and again, I've tried to speak with the railroad. I know the president. I've tried to do this the right way. I don't like to go run and just post things online, but at some point when he says, well, there's nothing we could do about it, and you're blocking me getting from one of my properties to another for 30 minutes, that area should not be used to change trains. Yeah. Again, there's tracks there, they go by, that's fine, but that's all I have.
Thanks. We have plenty of press here tonight. Maybe they'll engage with you on this, because, it certainly is a problem. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And anything I can do to help in the future, me and my company are willing to. Thank you.
Assemblyman Juan Ardilla is here, and he's going to say a couple of words. Newly elected Assemblyman Juan Ardilla.
Always getting the mic to be like my height has been the most challenging thing since getting into office, so I apologize for that. Thank you so much to the board members for coming today. Thank you for the chairs for having us in this space, and to all the public for attending. I wanted to take this time to introduce myself. My name is Juan Ardilla. I'm the new Assembly member replacing former Assembly member Catherine Nolan, who served our community for many years, and I thank her for her years of service. And I wanted to come and introduce myself to, let you know that we are here and we want to be as responsive and as accessible as possible to the community in the district. Ridgewood and Maspeth pertain in my district, so I do want to make sure that we are focusing on those communities, but also being accessible to those that are beyond. In Albany, in terms of where we are, so we received our committee assignments, so I have been placed into labor, education, social services, libraries, and drugs and alcoholism. So making sure that we are addressing the issues with education, holding labor standards, protections for our workers, and so many other issues as well. In terms of policy and legislation, we have made the request to ensure that we are sponsoring legislation pertaining to the climate crisis, to housing for both tenant protections and for small homeowners, and also ensuring that we are doing everything possible to address the education crisis as well. So one of the big bills that I'm requesting is the Solutions Not Suspensions Act, but more to come on that. And on the topic on education today in Albany, we had our budget hearing with the commissioner for the State Department of Education, where the governor gave a proposal which, as it is now, takes funding away from public schools and diverts it into charter schools. So we did ask why that was necessary, what we can do to ensure that we are using the people's budget, the taxpayer dollars, your budget, to invest into public school education. So, we are going to work on that, and I do want to make sure that our dollars are being utilized to protect public school and education for the students of our community board and of our district. The other piece in terms of Maspeth and Ridgewood, so in district projects that I would like to see, that entails expanding public transit options, especially in Maspeth, because we know that we aren't exactly blessed with the most transit options in the community. Other things I want to focus on are sanitation, so making sure that we are doing cleanups, especially to roads pertaining to Grand Avenue, Forest Avenue, Metropolitan, and Myrtle. So if anybody wants to come and volunteer, we are looking to get set up to do consistent cleanups and making sure that we are keeping our streets clean and working with the community in terms of what we can do to address street safety. So that pertains to the crosswalk, stop signs, making sure that we have the proper signaling to ensure that we are protecting both pedestrians, cyclists, and everyone, and ensuring the utmost safety for the community. So I thank you for tolerating me for these last 3 minutes. And our office is located on Skillman Avenue, so a little further across the pond, but we are working to get a remote location so that people in Maspeth and Ridgewood can also have that in-person touch and can have that quality time as well. Any concerns will always be accessible to you. So I thank you, and I hope to have a productive first 2 years with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Assemblyman, so you have here, you're probably your most engaged volunteer community members there are. So we just appreciate it if anybody who identifies themselves as a community board member that, you guys really, I know you help everybody, but you really take care of us. So.
No,
Thank you.
Of course. And again, as I said, we want to, my two biggest things are values and access. Yes, we have our values. Yes, we have our ideas, but the most important thing is to be accessible to people.
Great.
And so that's what I want to focus on. So thank you so much again. And I do want to make, I don't want to touch on this too much because we have an agenda. But we are together in this space, a space of civics, so let's make sure that we are being respectful of one another, that we are being conscious of the words that we use in terms of how we refer to individuals, in terms of how we want to discuss topic issues. And, this is a place of civics and a Catholic high school, so I do want us to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Brandon Zwagerman, Ridgewood.
All right. Thanks for having me. My name is Brandon Zwagerman. I'm a 13-year resident of Ridgewood. I just wanted to say that after much delay and discussion in the community, including on this board, that it's been encouraging to see the city bike expansion finally being implemented over the past month in Ridgewood, as well as parts of adjacent neighborhoods. Like many Ridgewood residents, I don't own a car. I certainly use mass transit, walk, and even have my own bike to get around, but I also do have a city bike membership. This bike share system offers one more option for residents to get to their destinations via means that's more affordable than, say, owning your own car or having to pay for a taxi. It comes in handy. It's just another option people can use, and it's great to have. As the city encourages more cycling through the expansion of City Bike, as well as building infrastructure citywide, I just wanted to say we need DOT to provide more safe routes, such as protected bike lanes locally in our own neighborhoods here in Community District 5. I was glad to hear Assemblymember Ardilla note this in his remarks. I actually rode a city bike here to this meeting. There's a new station in front of Metro Mall. As you might expect, biking down Metropolitan Avenue is not fun. It's stressful, it's scary, but it's one of the only routes from Ridgewood to Middle Village and the only way to actually get to this meeting by bike. So that shows the need for some sort of safer route to get here. Even greater priority, I think, as the weather warms up, people looking outside more, the Cypress Avenue and Vermont Place corridor, which is the main route between Ridgewood and Liberty Park to Highland Park and the Ridgewood Reservoir, is in desperate need of a protected bike lane or greenway, in addition to safe sidewalks, pedestrian crossings, and the bus stop. Accessing our largest nearby public green space shouldn't require biking or walking along highway-like conditions or dashing across off-ramps. So I encourage this board to work with elected officials and DOT to prioritize improving safe access along the Cypress Vermont corridor up to Highland Park and the Ridgewood Reservoir, as well as throughout the community district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last speaker we have in the public forum, Richard Huber.
Good evening. Richie Huber, lifelong local resident, former board member, recently removed without notice, due process, consideration for years of service by the borough president, judge, jury, and executioner. No redress of grievances. Even murderers caught on video are afforded a fair process. My character was immediately besmirched in Mr. Sanchez's local paper. The article started with me saying a supposed bad word and ending with a truncated colloquialism of somehow tied to the murder of 6 poor young Chinese girls. Quite a stretch. That's not real journalism. Blatant and purposeful. It's called yellow journalism. A person who runs the meeting profits from the headlines he creates. I ask, is that perhaps a conflict of interest? 3 minutes. You must read very quickly. It sounds a lot like a rant. I tell people I was removed from CB5. They ask, what horrific transgression did I commit? I said I used the W word. Puzzled. They know the F word, the S word, other offensive words. What's the W word? If I time it correctly, the coffee comes shooting right out their nose. After laughing, they ask, you're kidding, right? Including maybe an aforementioned expletive. Zika came from the Zika forest in Uganda, Africa. Ebola, the Ebola River in the African Congo. Orthohantavirus, West Nile fever, Spanish flu, German measles, Lyme disease. Wu is not a race. It is not a race, it's a place. Severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 19, a mouthful, some 4% of these 3 minutes. Mr. Giordano has often spoken of the spring for the Zika virus from Africa. Is he a racist? Mr. Giordano, knowing me for some 25 years, am I a racist? You said so in the papers. Please tell me to my face in the public forum here. The W word I used was used in numerous publications, including headlines in the Spectre of Australia, the Auto Channel. Most interestingly, the Hong Kong Free Press, an Asian newspaper, a racist Asian newspaper against Asians. It is a derogatory word for a virus that killed way too many, destroyed lives, families, businesses, livelihoods, education, childhoods, and our way of life. Realize this was a shot across the bow. A warning to the board members, fall in line, stick with the narrative, vote correctly, shut up, and march in perfect lockstep or else. I watched the meeting video several times. Some quotes from Mr. Sanchez. Community boards are meant for spirited debate. Everybody gets their say here. We really do try to listen to the community and each board member. How ironic. He left out the part about being canceled, chilling of free speech, self-censorship. Ironic from a person who makes his living under the protections of the First Amendment and using it to take it from others. Thank you. God bless America and stay safe. Watch the applause. You'll be next to be canceled.
Thank you for that. So, Chairperson's report. Vincent is not here, so I attended the borough board meeting the other night, and it was made clear by the borough president. I'll just go over 2 things. Community board members need to be aware that they represent the board and not speak for the board as a board member. So if you walk into a place and somebody has, a store owner has a complaint about something that's going on, direct them to Gary. Okay, they don't want us to represent the board other than, just trying to help any way we can, but we should not. We should be very aware not to represent the board as board members. We also, in our position, represent the borough president. So we're appointed by the borough president, and he expects us as board members, when we do put ourselves out there as board members, to represent him. There was a presentation by the Army Corps of Engineers about floodgates. So it's a 20-year project, and there are hearings throughout the next month or so about, run by the Army Corps of Engineers, of how they're putting floodgates in the Newtown Creek, in Flushing Bay, and in Jamaica Bay. So they're planning floodgates to hold back the water for future floods. So see Tim. Tim's over here. Where are you, Tim? I know you're going to speak in a few minutes about those dates, and he might have some information for you on that. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask for a review of the minutes and a resolution to accept the minutes from the last meeting. Can I get a motion? Paul? And seconded here. All those in favor, or are there any questions? We're good? Thank you. We are going to go over the current applications for sale of alcoholic beverages. We did appoint a committee, and they're going to start to meet next month. You'll get a phone call from Marianne Latanzio, who's the chair of that committee. Gary, you want to go over liquor license?
No, actually, it's
Go ahead.
Marianne, the chair.
Okay,
Marianne Fowle, chair.
got it. You'll be informed on how, on when the committee meeting is, so. Gary, liquor license?
You have them?
Sure. Please?
Okay, so I think you all got a copy of this. Liquor, wine, and beer license applications and renewals. Gazoo LLC, doing business as to be determined at 6822 Forest Avenue in Ridgewood. These are new liquor licenses. Two Era Events Corp., 4805 Metropolitan Avenue in Ridgewood. Seneca Fiesta Corp., 603 Seneca Avenue, Ridgewood. This is a renewal. The other renewals proposed are the Ridgewood Moose Lodge, which is in Maspeth, doing business as the Loyal Order of the Moose at 7215 Grand Avenue in Maspeth. Patrizia's of Maspeth LLC, doing business as Patrizia's at 6935 Grand Avenue in Maspeth. Saran Pub LLC, doing business as Bukowski's at 6947 Grand Avenue in Maspeth. Then new wine, beer, and cider application, Queen's Beer Garden at 8060 Cooper Avenue in Glendale. So that's within Atlas Park Shopping Center. And then wine, beer, and cider renewals, 6265 Exclusive Roses Corp., doing business as Roses Pizza, 6265 Fresh Pond Road in Ridgewood. No new beer and cider alone applications did we receive, and no beer and cider renewals. Gazoo at 6822 Forest Avenue is also seeking a temporary retail permit. So the list is short for this month. Questions?
Yeah.
Mike Porcelli.
Other than the Moose Lodge and Rose's Pizza, there's no indication what type of establishment these are. Is it a bar, a restaurant, a club, or a store? I think we should note what type of establishment we're looking at.
Okay. I know Patrizia's is a restaurant on Grand Avenue there.
Demolition? Any demolition notices?
John, no demo notices?
All right, we had an executive committee meeting, and we need to vote tonight on the street festivals that are planned, and we have 5 street festivals planned. The first one is Ridgewood LDC Myrtle Avenue Festival, and that's going to be between Wyckoff and Fresh Pond Road in Ridgewood, and that's Sunday, April 23rd, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the sponsors are Ridgewood LDC. Ted Renz is the executive director there. Clearview Productions is running that. We have not had any complaints about that street festival, and we voted to not have a challenge with that. So, does anybody have a problem with that street festival here? No? Yes.
Can it be heard?
You can.
Okay, every year I vote no on every one of these.
Okay.
And no one has ever asked me why.
Okay, why?
I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because every year, every one that I've attended, there's a booth or 2 booths selling bootleg DVDs. Not to mention, there's a booth that offers massages.
Right.
I've traced them back to a storefront in Bay Ridge. It's a happy ending type of massage parlor, and I don't think the community board should have anything to do with this.
Okay, they come to, the presenters of these street festivals come to our executive committee meeting. We would love to ask them that kind of a question and ask them not to bring them. So, okay, I mean, I wish you would bring something like that up, because that's the kind of thing that we could ask.
I'm going to continue to vote no.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have a challenge or a concern with that street festival? All right, yes.
Just a suggestion. I presume we're going to vote yes on these. I would suggest that we add a request that we have some enforcement on any illegal activities. Either prevent them from coming, or if they do come, have the police get them out.
Street festivals now have to, and Ted, you might want to speak to this, street festivals have to send each vendor's actually EIN number to the city. And they make sure that they're legal. I mean, could they ignore it? Yes, but I know that street festivals do that. So we will do that, we'll put on it a caveat to make sure. Is that okay? Is that okay with everybody? We'll put that in there. But just so you know, they're required to actually map out the street and put the business that's there, their name, and their EIN number.
They could be a legitimate business doing illegal activity.
Sure.
So I just ask for enforcement.
Got it. Yes.
Are we going to vote on all of them at once?
No.
Okay, because I don't want to vote no on all of them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
How do we know that even to send the permit in that they legal business, how do we know that it's the same business function?
Absolutely right. I don't know. So the question was, how do we know that it's the business that comes there who say they come there? I mean, that's up to the promoter. I mean, that should be Ted's job that day.
But it's also with the food vendors. How do we know they could send in the Board of Health papers in to Ted, and that day somebody else could show up there that is not the company?
Yeah, they do come and inspect from time to time. Well,
they don't.
I've done them, and they do inspect, but they don't always, they might not show up one year, they might show up the next year. So, Ted, what do you think about that? About the challenges, the concerns?
Well, I certainly can talk to Clearview about these, and maybe request that we have no CD players. But if they're legit, I can't deny them to be on the street. As far as, so I will follow up with that and ask them about these places. And as far as I know, the Board of Health is there at every street fair. The fire department is there to make sure that it comply with, because they have propane tanks or they have compressors, and they have to make sure that they are in proper regulatory requirements.
Very good. So is it okay that we vote yes on this without going through the roll call on this particular street fair? Yes. We good? Okay. Grand Avenue Fair, that's between 65th Street and 72nd Street in Maspeth, Saturday, April 30th, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Street is closing 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The sponsor is the Maspeth Chamber of Commerce, the Maspeth Lions Club, and the Maspeth Kiwanis Club. David DeReo is the president of the Maspeth Chamber of Commerce. Clearview Productions is running that one as well. Any concerns with this street festival? No? See there being none. We have not gotten any complaint. We had not gotten any complaints at the board office for this. So we'll cast one vote to no objection to this street fair. Okay? Myrtle Avenue Festival in Ridgewood. Myrtle Avenue from Fresh Pond Road to Forest Avenue in Ridgewood, which is 4 blocks. Sunday, July 24th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Street closing 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sponsored by the Kiwanis Club of Glendale. Joe Aiello is the past president. He puts in the forms for this. Mike Hyatt at Meteor Festivals is the contact. They are the firm hired to do cleanup, to get the vendors and things like that. Any questions on this festival? Have we gotten any complaints on this festival?
No, sir.
We're okay with this? Okay, one vote and we're okay. Myrtle Avenue Business Improvement District Festival, and that's on Myrtle Avenue between Wyckoff and Fresh Pond Road, 11 blocks, Sunday, August 20th, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Street is closing from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sponsors of Myrtle Avenue Business Improvement District, Ted Renz, Executive Director. Cleary Productions, again, is running this. Were there any complaints on this festival? None that we heard at the Executive Committee as well. Ted was there to present it to the Executive Committee, and of course, as a member of the Executive Committee, he did not vote. Any concerns with this festival? No? Any questions? Okay, one vote, and we have no objection to this. Correct, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It is August 20th. The April 30th one is Grand Avenue. April 23rd is Ridgewood LDC. The last one we have is the Fresh Pond Road Street Festival, and it's a 4-day festival. It's between Woodbine and Menahan Street in Ridgewood on Fresh Pond Road. Thursday, September 7th, Friday, September 8th, Saturday, September 9th, and Sunday, September 10th. It's a 4-day festival. We had a little bit more spirited discussion about this one, mainly because there was some who felt that there was that closing the street at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. The festivals are from 5:30 till 11 p.m. The street closing, it says 12 noon to 12 a.m. The people who presented it, sponsors the Federazione Italo-American di Brooklyn and Queens, Tony Di Piazza is the name on it. Mike Hyatt at Meteor Festivals runs that. So it says street closing at 12 all the days, and it's closed for 12 hours. And the concern on the Executive Committee, although we did not get any complaints about this festival in the office last year, there's always been pretty good discussion at this board meeting and also at the Executive Committee about this. And the concern was closing the street even at 4:30, at 5:30 or 5, because that's rush hour traffic on Thursday and Friday. Really didn't have any problems during the weekend. So those were some of the concerns. We asked them to try to work with us, maybe close it a little bit later. They didn't give a definitive answer. They said they were going to talk to Gary. So let's open it up for discussion. We are going to vote on this one. Yes.
Two things. On Sunday night, I believe it used to close at 10. This says 11 every night. And the other thing is, when they position their equipment in the street, some of it sticks out into the traffic lane. They have to be required to not block the traffic lane. Any equipment that cannot be moved onto the sidewalk so it doesn't stick out into traffic should either be moved to the side street or should not be allowed. You cannot block traffic.
Right. During the festival, I thought they said they weren't going to bring rides, those stanchion rides this time, did they?
They did say that.
That they're not going to bring stanchion rides this time. So they have the food vendors and trucks and things like that, and I know that sometimes they put tables towards the middle of the street. You're talking about...
I'm talking about during the day.
Before it opens.
Before it opens.
Got it.
The rides are always blocking traffic.
Right. They said to us they're not going to have rides this year.
That solves that problem.
Well, they won't have those rides. That's what they said.
They won't have the... I don't know whether that means the rides that shut out into the street.
Let's just require that they not bring anything that sticks out into traffic, or they have to remove it.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, because traffic can't go by. Yes?
It's hard enough to get down Fresh Pond Road every day.
As every year, I complain. I live there. For the minimal profit that they make, they screw up the neighborhood for 4 days. They come around to the back in Traffic Avenue, where I don't want to detail all the things that go on. We get traffic jams on our side street. I don't know why we should have to suffer this. 1 day should be sufficient. And as I said, from the reported revenues, it doesn't seem worth their while. I vote no.
Okay. Yes, Paul.
Along with Peggy, being the counsel for the Ridgewood Property Owners and Civic Association, and I bring this to the attention of the new people on the board who have never heard this. One of the big problems with this is that it's if you take a look at all the other festivals, they're all one day. This is not. This is 4 days. And the other big problem with this is that they're closing the only north-south truck route in all of Board 5 between Flushing Avenue on the Brooklyn-Queens border in Bushwick, Williamsburg, East Williamsburg, and on the east, 88th Street in Glendale. This is it. This is the only way that you can get north-south. This really screws up Fresh Pond Road. I have suggested to the festival people on more than one occasions, there is a location that you can go to that is out of the way, gives you all the space you need with the biggest rides that you want. Move it to that triangle on Elliott Avenue between Metropolitan Avenue and Fresh Pond Road. The amount of buses that you upset there are negative. There are 2 lines instead of 4, like on Fresh Pond Road. And you don't upset the truck route, because that part of Elliott Avenue is not a truck route. And so we have given the organization here, this organization, an alternative location, but they they could actually have a bigger festival for all the days they could add more days if they wanted to, but they refuse to accept it. And that, in my opinion, is not being at all considerate for the people who you're imposing your criteria for having this festival on. And so I will ask our board members to vote no on this. You don't want this, you wouldn't want this on Myrtle Avenue in Glendale. You would for 5 days. You wouldn't have it on Metropolitan Avenue in Middle Village for 5 days in a row. Don't stick Ridgewood. Thank you.
Okay, so the executive committee voted in favor of this street festival as submitted. They have had it for the last, I don't know, decade or so. So I'm going to ask for your vote. We'll go through a roll call, please.
Any other questions or comments?
Anything else? No? Go. Go ahead, Kathy.
No, I'm just a little concerned. We had a lengthy discussion about this.
We had a lengthy, why don't you grab a microphone?
We had a very lengthy discussion about this.
Wait, hold on.
And unfortunately, the issue of alternate, thank you. We had a very lengthy discussion about this. But unfortunately, the issue of alternate location and a couple of the items that were just discussed were not brought, at least I didn't hear them, up at the executive board meeting to the vendor, to the promoter. So it's almost like an after-the-fact thought. I wish we could have discussed this with them at that time, but we didn't. This has been an ongoing festival. It's also been a thorn in some of the community members of Ridgewood, to be fair, but every year they have the festival. The amount of money, I think, is important to understand what they do. They get the money and they don't use it to fund a business. They use it, they send the money back, it goes back into the community. I learned at the meeting that a lot of the money goes to support the 104 programs and the Cardella Center. If I'm incorrect, can you correct me? We were told that money is donated to those two and a variety of others. So, I mean, we got to bring forward some of the issues have to be discussed further at our next meeting as to why we didn't know about the alternate offer, and we need to discuss it the next time with the Italian-American group. Thank you.
Yes. You could, hi.
I know that Paul said that it was proposed potentially alternate site, but was there any proposition about potentially lessening the days?
There was no proposal about an alternate site.
Well, oh, no, that it was that he suggested
Yeah,
that.
but at the meeting, there was no proposal.
And was there any proposal maybe for lessening the days as opposed to having it 4 days? Did anybody suggest?
No.
Why can't we just have it on the weekend as opposed to you doing it on a weekday? Is there any reason why?
There isn't anybody to speak to them here tonight about that. They've had it, as I said, for a dozen years or so, maybe more. That's the way festivals are run, they feel. It's like, you close the street for 4 days, and, it's a festival. People walk on the street and things like that. I wasn't going to argue with them on that, but, yes.
It is my understanding. It is my understanding that the reason why this hasn't been changed at all is because, and Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, that if they changed this in any way, they would potentially lose being able to sponsor this in the future? Is that clear? Is that no? Yes?
From what I know, you're not supposed to be changing your proposal.
And if you did, you wouldn't be allowed to pursue it?
Well, I think that's a determination that the mayor's office would have to make. Ted knows this better than I do, since he's applying for that.
Still a moratorium, I understand, on new street fairs, and once you relinquish it or change it, my understanding is you lose it. For example, Metropolitan Avenue used to have a street fair, and they decided not to have it, and they weren't able and not going to be able to bring it back unless the moratorium is lifted.
Okay. So what Ted said was, if you change it or you remove it, you're not going to be able to get it back, is what the understanding is from the mayor's office. Yes.
So, Walter, it sounds like the option for an alternate site is not an option.
Correct.
You wouldn't have a festival at all, right? If I understand it right.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, yes. Yes.
Walter, I remember this used to be 2 weeks. They used to have it 4 days, like I think it was after Labor Day, and then another 4 days the following week. They used to have it twice, many, many years ago.
No. Not that I'm aware of, but yes.
I just want to say,
It's on.
I'm sorry. It's on, yeah, hey. Just want to say two things. One is I really do enjoy the festivals. Kids enjoy the festivals. Whether they make a lot of money for the vendors or not, I think we should also consider that they are part of the character of our communities and neighborhoods. And I don't necessarily like all the vendors that are there, but I really do appreciate the occasion to see people on the street hanging out and having a good time. Secondly, it seems, I don't want to, it seems like at some point it was 2 days. In 2018, it says here that sponsored by the Federazione Italiana, the 2-day affair takes place the weekend of September 8th to 9th along Fresh Pond Road. So at least at one point, it was a 2-day affair, worth considering. But yeah, definitely, fairs are fun.
Yes. Yeah, something else?
I just wanted to know if we can get clarity on the microphone.
If we can get clarity as to what the monies go to. I know Kathy mentioned a few of them, but do we know definitively what they are?
No, they reported to us. No, they reported to us who it was for. It was the Cardella Senior Center,
Right.
104th Precinct activities.
They mentioned a couple of the groups. 104, I'm sorry.
Yes, they did. They mentioned the 104, and I believe it was a Cardella Center. Am I correct, Marianne? Yes. Those were two of a couple There might have been a couple of others, but those are the two that stuck out with me. They're two community groups. The amount of money, I think it's important, is profit, I believe the number was $10,000. Correct me if I'm wrong? That's what they make, $10,000 at the end of the day. After the 4 days, after the cleanup, after everything, it's a $10,000 profit.
Fred?
I've been at numerous meetings over the years, executive committee meetings, and Paul has brought it up many, many times, look, why don't you move it to this other location, and they've, so they know that it's been recommended many times. And they have shortened it over the years, but it's still, it was more than this. It was at least 5, maybe six at one point. But
Days?
Days. It was longer than this. You're saying it was always 4.
I don't know.
It was never more than 4.
Was Ted? It was 5. Okay, it was 5.
It was a 5-day, then it went to 4.
It went to 4. So, but, it's an inconvenience certainly for those 4 days for the people who live right in that area. Thank you.
All right, let's call for a vote, please.
All right. Tony Benanti.
4.
Mr. Adhikari.
4.
Jessica Boyardi.
4.
Eric Buckowitz.
4.
Patty Crowley. Nick Cutinaro.
4.
Brian Dooley.
Against.
Dimitro.
4.
Stephen Fiedler.
4.
Fred Howler.
Yes.
Fred Hofferly. Paul Kersner.
Again.
Marianne Latanzio.
4.
Diego Lecleary.
4.
Ed Latow.
No.
You're against?
Yes.
Kathy Massey.
4.
Eileen Maloney. April Narsassian. Peggy O'Kane. Michael O'Kane. Don Passantino.
Against.
Mike Porcelli.
4.
Ken Rayberger. Ted Renz.
4.
Luis Rodriguez. Lee Rottenberg.
Against.
Walter Sanchez.
4.
Dennis Steffen.
Against.
Katarzyna Sita.
4.
Guyanel Tapa.
4.
Barbara Toscano.
4.
Patrick Trinchesi.
Against.
Jasmine Valley. You said abstain? Mariana Zero?
No.
Sure. Good, Don.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Hello? Okay. I just feel that after the discussion we had, I can't make a well-informed decision. There were some questions that I had asked, and I have more questions and more concerns, and I think some of the concerns that were raised here were validly addressed. I would just ask that, I guess, in the future, when having the board discuss some of these things, maybe the people who have concerns can be a part of the discussion with these vendors who can actually answer the questions, but as it stands, the vendors that are here for this particular application are not here today to really answer those questions, so we're limited to the knowledge that the executive board has for us today.
Yeah, we should probably ask them to come future, they come to present to us, and of
Yeah.
course, that's an open meeting for anybody to come to, but they should probably come to these meetings as well.
So
They
just-
have in the past. I'm surprised that nobody's here. I'm surprised, well, Ted's here.
So that's I'm saying my abstention is because I don't feel I can make a well-informed vote for the people who inquired.
Great, that's cool. Is that it? Mariana Zero?
Can't abstain then.
Just say not voting, that's okay, not voting.
Yeah, so the only ones I missed are Michaeline Andrathan, and I don't think she's here, and Mariana Zero. Not here, right? Everybody else I got? Thank you.
Okay. Sorry? You can, if somebody doesn't want to vote, they don't have to vote. So we're going to bring up Timothy.
No, it has to vote, yes or no?
No.
You can't just vote because you don't have.
I've been informed by the bylaws committee that you must vote.
Hello, I'll say no at this time.
Okay. No. Timothy Chibanidze from the Borough President's Office is here. Tim?
Can I just announce this before?
Sure.
Yeah, just that vote was 18 in favor of the Fresh Pond Road Street Festival, 12 opposed.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Timothy Chibanidze, and I'm the Director of Civic Engagement at the Queensborough President's Office. Y'all can just call me Tim. I'd like to firstly acknowledge my former colleague, John Perricone, who was the Queens Community Board 5 representative on behalf of our office. I'm filling in for the month of February, so maybe I'll be sticking around and you're stuck with me. A couple of quick first announcements I'd like to give. Community board applications, the season is open for that. The ending is coming up. The last day to apply to serve on a community board is Thursday, February 16th. So if you know of folks who'd like to apply, the deadline is February 16th, Thursday, February 16th. Our annual Black History Month event is also on Thursday, February 16th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Helen Marshall Cultural Center at Queensborough Hall. So if you're available, feel free to come by for that. Another initiative we recently launched, the Youth and Young Adult Council. We're looking for applicants. If you know of youth, young folks ages from about 12 to 17, they can apply to be part of this council, get them civically engaged and involved. We're also looking for adult mentors. So if you know of any youth, adult mentors who'd like to join, the deadline for that is Thursday, February 23rd. And all of this is on our website at queensbp.org, or you could also catch me at the end of the meeting and I'll provide specific information as well. And one quick pitch as the civic engagement person at the office, I'd like to share with all of you. In March of 2021, the Borough President launched the Queens Civic Engagement Committee. It's a group made up of a bunch of civics, community board members, nonprofits, CBOs, anyone and everyone. It's open to all. We meet once a month on Zoom. I coordinate the committee, and we cover various topics each and every month. Kind of what's the most pressing thing that's going on in the borough, we'll be covering. Just for some context, at our January meeting last month, we had DOT come about open streets. That was a pretty passionate discussion. This month for February, we're going to focus on the smoke shops, cannabis, what's legal, what's illegal, what's legal sale, what's not legal sale. So if you're interested in joining that committee to know what's going on in the borough, get direct access to city representatives, organization members, feel free to catch me at the end as well. That's all for now.
Thank you. Thank you. You got this now? Thank you, Timothy. So we have two people from our press corps here from the Times News Weekly. Elijah Hamilton, you're in the back. Raise your hand so people know who you are. And the aforementioned Jessica Meditz from the Queens Ledger or Glendale Register. Where are you? Back there? Thank you. We are now going to hear from a representative from Assemblywoman Jennifer Rajkumar. Carlos, you here? All right.
Good evening. My name is Carlos Plaza. I'm the Director of Community Affairs for Assembly Member Jennifer Rajkumar. And I'm so glad to be here. This is my first time. It's so exciting to see too many people in the community and how you guys worry about everything what's going on here. Honestly, it's very impressed. A few announcements from our office. First week of January, we have our successful free legal service event where lawyers stop by our office. They provide free legal assistance to many constituents regarding many different issues. Last week, We also host a free mammogram event for all our women from the community. Assemblywoman Rajkumar is in Albany and unable to be here tonight, so she says so. Currently, we are reviewing the governor's budget, and we have also introduced many bills in the Assembly. The bills are listed on the website from the Assemblywoman. Lastly, I just want to let you know that we are participating on Valentine's Day for veterans, where our office is a drop-off site for anyone that wants to drop any items for the veterans. Our phone number is 718-805-0950. I think so the lady here, she got a nice project, and I think so we're going to help her anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. From Assemblyman Stephen Raga's office, Victoria.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Victoria Leahy. I'm the Chief of Staff for Assembly Member Stephen Raga. That's the new Assembly member covering District 30, which includes the neighborhoods of Woodside, Elmhurst, Maspeth, and then smaller portions of Middle Village, Astoria, and Jackson Heights. I just wanted to introduce myself this evening. Our office is just getting settled in. We are in the same office as the previous member on 69th Street, right across the street from Rosa. So we're in the office Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. The members should be here in 10 minutes, so I'm just going to cover updates really shortly. We have a Lunar New Year celebration this weekend at Moore Homestead Park in Elmhurst. That's 11 to 1 p.m. And then the following week, we are doing a Citizens Committee micro-grant info session. So any nonprofits, small businesses, or community groups in the district that are interested in learning about micro-grant funding, the grants are typically about $3,000. If there are any projects that you're thinking about or want to learn about eligibility, you can call our office to RSVP. The info session will be held via Zoom. Other than that, we are looking forward to working with all of you, and we're looking forward to really building relationships throughout our district. Our office number is the same, 718-651-3185. I don't have any business cards with me, but if you'd like to chat with me, I can give you my email. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. And just in case we don't notice him when the Assemblyman walks in, just get our attention, so we'll call him up. We'd like him to introduce himself. From Senator Michael Gianaris, Irene.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I guess I'm new to this district. I'm Irene Stathados, Deputy Chief of Staff. I've been with Senator Gianaris for 11 years. I pretty much know the area, well, I pretty much know his area, but this is his new district, so I would love to learn you guys, learn the area, and we do handle all constituent bases. I basically handle anywhere from immigration to passports to home care, Social Security, senior citizens, SCRE, which is the deadline is March. No, I'm sorry, not SCRE, SCHE, Senior Citizen Exemption, deadline is in March. STAR programs, and anything that has to do with tenants, home care agencies regarding senior citizens that need assistance. We also have Sam in our office that handles labor. So anything we can be of assistance, please call our office. Our office is still on Newtown, but yes, we will have our new office, and we'll email Community Board 5 and everybody else with our new office as soon as everything is ready. Thank you, and my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Tell the Senator we're glad he's coming south to us. So we have Kate Bohm from DA's office.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kate Boehm. I work in the Queens District Attorney's Office. I've been watching your meetings virtually for many, many months, so it's very nice to see you all in person. I just wanted to say a quick hello and let you all know that if there's any way that I can be of any help in the DA's office, please feel free to reach out. I think Gary has all my contact information, but my phone number is 718-286-6295. Give me a call. It can be hard to navigate that office, so if there's any way I can be of help, let me know. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. John D'Angelo from Senator Joseph Adavo's office.
Good evening. The senator sent his regards. He's been in Albany the last 3 days. Good or bad, there's really not much to announce right now. Just he has announced some passage of some affordability legislation and also legislation to lower prescription drug prices. It passed the Senate. It's been passed over to the Assembly now. And then the only other thing is we have, it's a ways off, but we have our signature events, paper shredding, more paper shredding, and spring e-waste recycling, but they're not till like April and May. So when it gets closer, I'll give you the dates. And that's it. Again, our office number, I'm from Middle Village. It's 718-497-1630. And the senator just invites, and stop at any time, call with any problems.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. From Representative Grace Meng, Tiana Armstrong.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiana Armstrong, representative for Congresswoman Grace Meng. I am newly appointed to this CB, so you will be seeing my face a lot more often. Just a little update from the Congresswoman's office. Representative Meng is proud to announce that she is elected by Leader Jeffries to serve on the newly established Regional Leadership Council representing New York. In this position, the Congresswoman would help serve as a liaison between Congress and the White House to implement key legislation. In this new role, she will focus on making sure that the benefits of the federal legislation are felt in New York and in Queens. This past week, she was also elected vice-ranking member of the House Appropriations Committee. This past week, the Congresswoman helped aid the reunification of a Queens family who was separated due to the blockade of the Lachin Corridor and has condemned Azerbaijan's blockade on Armenians. In the coming weeks, Representative Meng will release a call to action survey to help gather ideas on how constituents would like to see infrastructure dollars from the bipartisan infrastructure framework spent in the district, so look out for that. Fighting mail theft. We do get a lot of calls regarding mail theft. Fighting mail thefts is in Queens remains one of Representative Meng's top priorities. In a December letter to the U.S. Postal Service, she called for reducing time mail is left in relay boxes, adding more safety locks, and increasing transparency when mail has been stolen. Those are some updates from the Congresswoman's office.
Thank you very much. From Representative Nydia Velasquez, Jonathan Bencourt.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here on behalf of Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez, who thanks you all for your public service. Again, my name is Jonathan Bencourt, and I am the new community liaison for Ridgewood and Woodhaven. I'm actually a resident of Woodhaven. And I work very closely with Evelyn Cruz, who attends the meetings monthly. So I will be coming to every meeting, so you're going to be seeing my face every month. On behalf of the Congresswoman, I just want to share some highlights that were included in the omnibus bill that passed a couple months ago that would directly benefit our community. For example, $153.8 billion for the SNAP program, which is a $13 billion increase from the previous year. This would directly benefit low-income households, as well as senior citizens who are on a fixed income. The Congresswoman is very proud to represent an estimated 7,700 veterans in her district. Thank you for your service, all the veterans that are here tonight. This bill includes $134.7 billion for the Department of Veteran Affairs, which is an increase of $22.5 billion from the previous year. This will help expand access to health care and deliver key benefits for those who served our country. But tragically, we've been seeing a lot of veterans committing suicide. And to address this bill also includes $13.9 billion for veterans' mental health care. This pandemic has exposed the cracks in our healthcare system, including mental health. And sadly, tied to this mental health crisis is gun violence. We have seen 60 mass shootings so far in 2023, and it's only February. So that is why this bill includes $2.8 billion that will go towards mental health services. The Congresswoman is very passionate about affordable housing, and this bill includes $1 billion for Section 202, which provides housing with supportive services for low-income seniors. This bill also provides an additional $360 million for Section 811, which provides housing for people with disabilities. And that's just to name a few. Lastly, I want to talk about the local project fundings that the Congresswoman secured. In the 2023 fiscal year, the Congresswoman secured more than $16 million in federal funding for local projects. Two examples are $250,000 for NYC H2O, which is a nonprofit organization that has led cleanup and preservation efforts at the Ridgewood Reservoir, and $250,000 for the Greater Ridgewood Youth Council. So I thank you all for your time, and I look forward to working closely with CB5. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gary Giordano with the District Manager's Report.
Well, I'll be brief. First, the Health Committee is going to meet remotely on the 15th. So next Wednesday, next Wednesday evening. Anybody wants a link, contact the office. Bob Ciamelli is the chairperson of the committee, and Barbara Toscano is the vice chair. And then the Sanitation Committee is scheduled to meet, I'm not sure if it's going to be in person or remote, on Thursday, February the 23rd. Right, Paul?
Yeah.
So those are two of the committee meetings coming up. Eric will tell you about the efforts of the Transportation Services Committee. We're already at the stage where we're talking about roadway resurfacing. So submit any requests that you might have to the office for roadway resurfacing. One of the things that we're overdue for getting done is Myrtle Avenue in Glendale, if we could ever get the gas company out of there between Fresh Pond Road and Cooper, because they keep coming back. And be careful if you're driving Fresh Pond Road northbound between Metro and Reef Park, which is 59th Drive. Go slow. Now, that was supposed to be resurfaced right before winter, and they never got to it. So they need to come back and resurface at least that portion of Fresh Pond Road. I asked them to do all the way to Flushing Avenue. We'll see. Then, hopefully, they're going to do a big chunk of Seneca Avenue in Ridgewood, which is an important commercial strip for Ridgewood. Beginning as close to DeKalb as we can get it. There's a few schools over there, and moving toward Myrtle. One of the problems on Seneca is there's a couple of outdoor restaurants that are in the roadway, or extensions of restaurants that are in the roadway. They're going to have to be gotten the heck out of there for them to be able to resurface the street. Continue to put your garbage and recycling out the night before, because even though Paul says it may never snow again, he told me that the other day, we're still in winter snow season, and sanitation is picking up certain routes on the midnight shift, meaning your garbage and recycling could be picked up at 15 minutes after midnight, and you're in the new day, so to speak, right? If you're on the 4 to 12 shift, you may luck out because you have more time to put stuff out. So if your garbage collection day is Thursday, right? If you're on the midnight shift, that could mean Thursday at 12:15 a.m. or 12:30 a.m. So put your stuff out the night before. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, before we get into committee reports, I'd like the new Assemblyman, Stephen Raga, to introduce himself. If you don't know him, you're going to speak from right over there. If you don't know him, he won the Assembly seat back in November, and he ran an organization, Woodside on the Move.
Correct, yeah.
Which coming from a nonprofit community service organization is a great thing. I think you know a lot about what we do here also.
Yeah.
So thanks.
I appreciate it. Sorry for thanks for the patience. I just got back here from Albany, so I had to drive straight down. My name is Steve Raga. I'm representing Assembly District 30. This was previously Brian Barnwell's seat. It got kind of, since for the redistricting, I think I have maybe a few blocks south of the LIE now on 69th Street, but happy to be here. If you need anything, we're still at the old office right across Roses, and always feel free to reach out, same number, same address. Like was mentioned previously, most recently I was the Executive Director of Woodside on the Move. Before that, I was a Northeast Regional Manager for Policy for Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation, and before that, I was the Chief of Staff for Brian Barnwell. So, and what's more importantly is, as of December 31st, it was my 6th year of Community Board 2, so I'm very, very appreciative of the work you all do, not just for the monthly meetings, but also the committee meetings and everything else that comes together. So thank you for all the work you do, and looking forward to helping out. Just please reach out if you need anything. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Just so you know, your counterpart over there, Assemblyman O'D, has been here since 6:15, so you got a long way to go. We are now going to get into committee reports, and so I've asked committee chairs, I've spoken to a number of them, and to make, if you've had a meeting, if you've had a committee meeting, to make a report that stays within like 4 minutes. We want spirited debate here. It doesn't mean that they should do their 4 minutes and then everybody stops. Spirited debate about community issues, about city bikes, about zoning is perfect. I don't think we really want to talk about global issues and pandemics and things like that. We could do that offline if you want. You could just go right over there and talk about it. So don't be afraid to ask questions. We're going to hear from Eric right now, the Transportation Committee.
Good evening, everyone. Our previous Transportation Committee meeting was on January 31st, and a few key updates I want to give everybody. City bike installation, I'm sure many of you have seen that the installation has started. There's 53 total sites that will be installed in our community board. It's an ongoing process. Due to the diligent work of many community organizations, and we also put in a letter in support of this to the DOT, a number of sites, as a committee, a number of sites have been moved off of the street and onto the sidewalk or in areas that otherwise don't have parking to begin with, which preserved a lot of parking in our neighborhood. The DOT has a finalized map on its website, and this map shows where sites were moved. It shows where the sites are on a sidewalk, on a street, etc. So I would encourage everyone to look up the site to see the exact locations on the map. But due to the diligent work of many in the community, and I commend everyone who worked on this, the locations are in much better spots than they were originally, that better serve the needs of the community. During our meeting, it was brought to our attention that a number of the Brooklyn bus routes actually do affect our community board, and those bus routes are currently in the comment phase on the redesign. So it's very important, if you or someone in the audience is affected by Brooklyn bus routes, to put in your comment to the MTA on their redesign plan for Brooklyn. There is a number of concerns that us as a committee are raising to the MTA due to how it affects the Liberty Park area with a number of routes. So I would encourage everyone to take a look at that and put in your comment, because this is very important. Queens is not open yet, but that's something we're watching diligently, because we definitely want to put in a lot of feedback on that when Queens comment, and the Queens plan does come live. It's not open yet. The committee was made aware also of excessive truck parking around Frank Principi Park, which is taking away from community members' ability to enjoy the park. Idling trucks just parked all hours of the day, potentially into the night, and this is something that's concerning, and we're advocating for solutions to get those trucks out so we could have that parking used for people who want to use the park. Beautiful, newly renovated park. We want to make sure community members can use it. Quick comment, I know trains were brought up again today. For the past couple months, the committee has been working hard on this issue of train noise in Glendale. We've had committee members go to the tracks and listen, investigate, listen for what's been going on to hear this noise. We've done hours of research on potential avenues to pursue to help mitigate the noise, and we've reached out to the rail company to try to work out a solution to reduce noise and something amicable for everybody. So the committee has been working very hard on this. We'll continue to work very hard on this. We feel the pain of the community members who live there, and we really want to do something to solve this and make it better for everybody. One thing that can help us a lot, if you live in the area, if you could get an audio recording of the noise. Because it's one thing to talk about it, but for us to be able to show people, this is what it sounds like. If you have a decibel reader and you could get a decibel reading of what it is, that's even better. Because then we could show the audio of the noise, the coupling of the horns, and show a decibel reading of how loud it is. That would be incredibly helpful. Our next meeting is February 28th at the CB5 office. It's scheduled for 7:30. I encourage everyone to come and attend. And please, if you have any traffic safety requests, pedestrian safety requests, please send them to the board office, because then we can investigate and discuss. So thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Eric.
Can I make a comment?
So Eric, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to say that if anybody has a smartphone, you can get a free app that has a decibel reading meter on it.
Oh,
so
very good. You know, Eric, Lewis Ross, who talked, it was kind of distressing, talking about leaving from Glendale because of the train whistle and, and horn and things like that. Are we doing anything, about that? And it hurts that he felt that we did nothing. Is that a transportation issue that you think you could take up?
So this is what I mentioned, that we've been working diligently for a couple months, and it was a lot of investigation stage. We performed hours of research on the legal side of things, on what could be done, looking at potential historic districts, quiet zones, et cetera. And we also reached out to the rail company to open dialogue on this. So that's very important, because there might be some, the rail company isn't going to want a major fight with the community. They have to be a good neighbor. And they, as most businesses do, they want to be good neighbors. They want to be accepted. So we're opening a dialogue. We had members, residents who live nearby, come talk to us and explain in detail what's going on. So there is quite a bit we're doing on this, and that we have been doing for the past couple months. And it's something that we're diligently working on, because we know how important it is. Because it really, it hurt us when we hear these concerns from people, from our neighbors who have to deal with this. And the way it's described to us is like at a movie, like at a Cousin Vinny, you can't sleep at night. And that's, very disturbing for us to hear. So it's something we're working extremely hard on. We have been for months, and we're going to keep working on it until something could be done to solve this. But there's multiple avenues we're pursuing. We're not leaving this at one avenue. We're addressing it. We're coming at it from multiple angles, and we're going to make sure something gets done, because something has to be done.
Yes, Kathy.
Clearly that gentleman believed that we weren't doing anything. So I think, Eric, it might be a good idea if we could get his address, the two gentlemen that spoke,
I'm on it.
and let them know.
I got his number. I'm on that too.
Let them know
I will
what's
call.
going on, because it was very clear that they thought we did nothing.
Paul?
Yeah, I want to be incredibly clear. We've been doing quite a bit on this. It's unfortunate there was a communication gap there, but I know there's other neighborhood groups that have been aware. We have been communicating with Cures is one of them. But I agree, and for all the community members who are unsure of things, please do reach out to the board office. They're a great resource, and they can inform you of what we're currently fighting to get done for the community, because there is a lot we do. And please do, if you care about things transportation-related like the rail, come to our transportation committee meetings, because then you could see our work and also speak to us, and it gives us another perspective while we do this work and try to find solutions. So please do come down. It's a great place to get involved, and that's where we actually get into the nitty-gritty of getting this stuff done.
Great. Thank you. Paul?
My point was Kathy Massey's point, but I want to stress one thing about this gentleman. It is very important that he actually not only be notified about the meeting, because you want him at that meeting. Because otherwise he's just going to blow you off. I think it's important that he actually show up at the meeting and see how he can be constructive in solving his own problem working with the committee. That is the missing link that we have here with him.
Great, well said. And I'm glad we really are discussing that. It just shows if you come and testify at our public forum, we can do something about it, and we will do something about it. So thank you, everybody, for that. I have a zoning.
If I can, Walter, I want to point out that his testimony 3 months or so ago is what ignited our efforts in committee to address this. So it was really him bringing it to our attention that made us aware of it and allowed us to do something and take those initial steps in addressing the problem.
And next, we'll get to 74th Street, where Mr. T is over there. Where is he? Oh, he left. All right, so zoning and land use, we have two votes that I think should be quick, and it's for first one is BSA application 91559BZ for 5912 Fresh Pond Road to permit the erection of two new metal canopies over the existing service pump stands for gasoline service station at 5912 Fresh Pond Road at the northwest corner of 59th Road in Maspeth in an R41 zoning district. So we had, our committee met with them. We had a public hearing here, no objection. So we'd like you to vote no objection, which means vote yes.
Okay. Tony Benanti?
Gone.
Oh, she left. Mr. Adhikari? Jessica Boyardi? Eric Buckowitz? Patty Crowley? Pat? Thank you. Nicholas Cutinaro? Brian Dooley? Dmytro Fitkowski? Stephen Fiedler? Fred Haller? Paul Kersner? Marianne Latanzio? Diego Lecleary? Ed Latow? Kathy Massey? Eileen Maloney? Peggy O'Kane? Michael O'Kane? Don Passantino? Mike Porcelli? Ken Rayberger? Ted Renz? Luis Rodriguez? Lee Rottenberg? Walter Sanchez? Dennis Steffen? Katarzyna Sita? Guyanel Tapa? Barbara Toscano? Patrick Trinchesi? Jasmine Valley? And that's it. Anybody else? Thank you.
All right, and BSA application 2022-89A and 2022-90A for 6110 and 6112 Menahan Street in Ridgewood to permit the development of two semi-detached three-family buildings, each located within the portion of a mapped but unbuilt street, 61st Street at 6110, 6112 Menahan Street on the south side of Menahan Street between Fresh Pond Road and 60th Place in Ridgewood, Queens, in an R5B zoning district. Again, we had a public hearing here. The applicant showed up and spoke to us. We had, some recommendations. They were not building outside of the as of right FAR. What that means is when zoning is right here, it's an R5B. There's a floor area ratio that you cannot exceed. Otherwise, you have to apply for something, for a variance or go for a zoning change. They did not exceed that, so that's not why they had to come for a variance. They had to come for a variance because they're building in the bed of a map street, which we felt is never going to be a street. So we're asking for, we had no objection to it, we're asking for you to vote yes.
Okay.
If it was appropriate, I would like to recommend, since this is going to be unanimous, that make a motion to have our secretary cast one vote for the proposal.
It's fine with me. Does anybody have any challenges or questions to this? It's okay if you do. No? Okay, I'd like to ask the secretary to cast one vote for the entire board.
I will do so, but I don't see anything in the bylaws that allows me to do so. But the secretary casts one vote to approve the committee report.
If they get back to us and call it a null vote, then I don't want to argue about this. We're fine. All right, other committees. Parks. Stephen Fiedler, you got anything?
Not really, everything's going well, Juniper looks good, Star Street's moving forward. One of the only problems that I have and concerns I have is the entrance to Forest Park. There's been 2 accidents in that seating area. They went right through, they didn't hit anything yet, but without getting Jersey barriers or steel barriers there, it just seems like something's going to happen down the road. Councilman is aware, and see what they're working on. A lot of support. Keep on calling them if you hear anything, because it's a very dangerous design. Okay, any questions?
Nope.
Done, thank you.
Sanitation?
We're going to have a sanitation committee meeting. I believe it's the 24th. 23rd. And it's very important that every single member of the committee be there. We don't hold these meetings all that often, and so when we call it, it is important. This is important. Thank you.
You going to serve food?
Well, we can do that.
Education? Anything on education, parks? All right, I've been told, in whispering in my ears, that we should do a vote. So we're going to do a roll call vote. Go. Again, yes means there's no objection to 2289A and 2290A.
And this is building in the bed of a map street on Menahan Street. The map street would be 61st Street. And the Menahan addresses are 6110 and 6112 Menahan. Mr. Radicari. Jessica Boyardi. Eric Buckowitz. Patty Crowley. Nick Cutinaro. Brian Dooley. Dimitro Fidkowski. Stephen Fiedler. Fred Howler. Paul Kersner. Marianne Latanzio. Diego LeCleary. Ed Littau. Kathy Massey. Eileen Maloney. Michael O'Kane. Peggy O'Kane. Don Passantino. Mike Porcelli. Ted Renz. Luis Rodriguez. Lee Rottenberg. Walter Sanchez. Dennis Steffen. Katarzyna Sita. Guyanel Tapa. Barbara Toscano. Patrick Trinchesi. Jasmine Valley. Get everybody? Thank you.
Okay, the time is now 9:25. We're to old and new business. Anybody have anything to bring up? Any questions for Gary or myself? No, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, seconded. Thank you. We'll see you next month.